Allowing our users to add, edit, and occasionally delete data opens up a whole new dimension for our apps and the ways they can be used. We're going to look at a number of things: entry components, the edit screen, the add screen, special values, and conditions. When we configure a details screen, we can add many different components. Some components display data, and others allow users to enter data. Entry components will always allow users to enter data. In other words, if we add a text entry component and connect it to a column in our sheet, any user that can see that component will be able to edit that data. However, we can configure our details screen with non-editable components and then trigger a separate edit screen where we can allow users to enter data through entry components. To enable editing, visit the Edit tab and tick the checkbox. It's here also that you can allow your users to delete items in your app. When we click the Edit button in Glide, two things happen. Firstly, the app preview changes to show us the edit page. Secondly, the components panel on the right changes to show a new set of components that are our edit screen components. This is a completely separate set of components to our details screen. Glide will add these edit screen components automatically based on the columns in our sheet, but we can customize these to change what data can be edited. If we want users to only be able to edit certain columns, we can delete these from our edit screen component list. For example, if we delete the text field, which is bound to the title column, users will no longer be able to change the name of our list items, but can still change all the other data. We can also display non-editable components in an edit screen. We might want to do this if we need to provide instructions or images to our users whilst they're in the edit screen. If we want users to be able to add entire list items, we can enable adding on a list. When we enable add item, users can add data to our sheet. Like allow editing, add item is list specific, so we can enable add item for some lists and not others. Adding an item brings up the add item component list that we can structure independently from the edit item component list. A useful thing we can do on add screens is to mark certain entry components as required to make sure that the data is entered and not left blank. When an entry component is marked as required, users won't be able to add an item without filling out the data. Similarly to editing, we can give users access to only certain columns when they add items. For example, if we want to allow users to add places to visit in a city guide app, but we don't want them to be able to choose the category for their submissions, we can make sure that the category column is not bound to an add screen component. When a user adds or edits an item, Glide can submit additional data about their submission, like the date and time of the user's submission or the user's email address. These are called special values. If we add the date and time special value, we don't see anything in the app, but we do see the value listed on the right. We can then choose which column we want the date and time to be submitted to. In our case, we don't have a blank column for this to go into yet, but after we create one and then bind the date-time value to that column, our new column will be populated by the date and time that that user submitted the information. Glide will always be able to work out what the date and time is, but will only have access to the user's email if your sign-in settings permit it. We may not want all users to be able to edit the items in our list, or we may not want all items in our list to be editable. If this is the case, we can add conditions on edit screens. Say we only wanted certain users to be able to edit our items. For this, we need to have enabled user profiles in our app. We have separate documentation on how to do this. Once we've enabled user profiles, we can add a new column in the sheet, which determines whether someone is an admin or not. Next, we can add a condition on our edit screen, which says only enable editing if the current user has admin in their profile.